Test. Good. You all ready? Good job. All right, good afternoon. I'm Executive Assistant Chief Larry Satterwhite over Patrol Operations. With me is Executive Assistant Chief Jim Jones over Investigations, Assistant Chief Belinda Null over Criminal Investigations, Assistant Chief Wyatt Martin over our Command Center Support, Commander Adrian Rodriguez over Southwest Division, and Southwestern Division, and Sergeant Glenn West in Patrol Operations. So we're on the scene here at 6721 Langdon, Langdon, on an officer-involved shooting. Information is still very preliminary. It's a complex scene, but I will tell you what I know. At 11:26 a.m. this morning, we received a call at 6725 Langdon. It's a residence down the street here. Of the reportee was calling, said that there was a male outside of their house beating on the door. The male appeared to be covered in blood, acting very erratic, screaming something to the kin that he was being chased or somebody was trying to kill him. They called the police for a unit. A few minutes later, that individual, that male, went over to the next residence at 6721 Langdon, where he made it inside the residence. Inside that residence were two occupants, an elderly male and an elderly female. They immediately started calling the police. I guess their door was open, that's how he made it in, and then there was a struggle. On the call slip, they were stating that he had some type of sharp weapon, that it was a female stating that he was fighting with her husband. Her husband was trying to get him out of the house and was unable to do so. Units were dispatched. We had two supervisors that started coming to the scene as a lot of calls were holding, and everybody from the scene to try to get to this location to take care of them and resolve this incident. While they were en route, the neighbor next door on the other side at 6717 Langdon, who knows these individuals as their neighbors, came over with a firearm trying to help them out, trying to protect them against this individual. Officers arrived, and as they were walking up to the house, the resident of the house, the elderly female, opened the door screaming for them to hurry to come inside. She was covered in blood on her right side, stating that he was inside. As the officers made it into the house, there was a lot of screaming in the back bedroom of the house, and the resident was saying that her husband was back there, and in fact, the elderly male husband did come out, and the officers moved him out of the way. He said his neighbor was in the back with the suspect. The officers then proceeded down the hallway and into the bedroom, where there was a struggle between an elderly male and a younger suspect. As they turned over, the officers could see a firearm. The suspect came up with a firearm, and the officers fired. At that point, they backed up as the male still was moving around, and it appeared that he reached for the firearm again, and officers fired again on the suspect. And at that point, they were able to make it into the room and get the elderly male up. He was bloody in his face and around his body from the altercation with the suspect. They got him out, secured the scene, and immediately started rendering aid on our suspect, calling for ambulance resources, calling for additional backup while they tried to take care of him. Once they had secured the scene, they backed out, and then we arrived. The suspect, unfortunately, is still in the house, and he is deceased, but we did try to render aid and do what we could for him. At that point, we arrived here, and our suspect is a black male, approximately 29 years of age. Our officers are a lieutenant who has 25 years of age, is 25 years on the department, a sergeant who has 38 years on the department, another sergeant who has 11 years on the department, an officer with 7 years on the department, and an officer with 6 years on the department. We did get some calls earlier, prior to this call, of a male off of Bissonnette and then making his way over to this area that we may in fact be the suspect that's inside this house right now. We still are trying to get that information to confirm that. Our officers, lieutenants, sergeants, and officers involved in this will, by policy, will be on leave administratively while for a few days, and then the investigation will continue. They'll on the scene. We have homicide. We have our SIU. The DA's office will conduct a separate investigation on this incident, parallel to our investigation. Our Houston Forensic Science Center is on there right now managing the scene. So with that, I'll take any questions you have.
I have a question, Lieutenant. Can you tell me if the suspect, when you said he had a gun, was that the neighbor's gun or was that his own weapon?
We have not confirmed that yet. It is very possible it is the firearm that the neighbor took into the house, but we haven't confirmed that, so we can't tell for sure that that is the case.
How many weapons were recovered?
Just one firearm that we could see. The scene is still being processed. There could be other guns in there, but we just don't know yet.
Was anyone else injured? And can you give
So
us
yes, excuse me. Our the injuries were our officer, our younger sergeant, who has 11 years old. It's a white female. She had sustained some injury to her elbow, possibly from the gunfire. So we don't know exactly the amount. Right now, she appears to be stable, just fine. She's still on scene, not transported. The neighbor that went over with the firearm to try to help, he was transported. He's injured in the leg, and like I said, injured around the face area from the altercation with the suspect, we believe. No one else was transported. No one else was injured that we know of at this time.
was the neighbor shot? Or what?
We don't know that for sure. We're still trying to figure that out.
But
You said that the suspect came bloody to one of the houses.
Mhm.
What is this injured he came from? What is
We are still trying to research. We have canvassed the neighborhood. We've talked to the people that have made the original calls, trying to figure out where he came from, trying to determine whether or not there was anybody else injured, maybe another suspect. And of course, we're asking the public that if they know anything, please to reach out and let us know. We want to follow up because, again, he did have blood on him apparently when he came to the house. That's either from him or from somebody else.
But you mentioned that there was a situation somewhere else on Bissonnette, Street Bissonnette. What happened?
We don't know yet. Originally, the calls are that, again, we are reasonably very confident this is going to be the same individual, but we haven't confirmed that yet. But there were calls of a male matching this description that was acting erratic, acting in a possibly in crisis, screaming, and matching the description to some degree.
Did they report a weapon at that call to this?
No, we had no reports of a weapon on the call slips. Further information, we're still working out to see if he had a firearm or a bladed weapon or anything of that nature prior to. But right now, we don't have any information like that.
And do you have ages both on the neighbor and the couple at home?
I don't, and they are elderly, but I can't tell you how old. I don't have those ages. Certainly, they possibly 60s and up is what I believe.
Your guesstimate?
Right.
Keeping the neighbor all involved?
The scuffle in the back bedroom when the officers arrived for clarification, that was between the neighbor and
Yes,
the
yes, it was right. So when the officers made their way down the hall and into the back bedroom, what we now believe it was the neighbor with our deceased suspect were fighting on the ground, and at that point the neighbor said he's got a gun, and then in fact it appears that the suspect did raise the firearm towards the officers.
Did you guys find the sharp object?
And we had 2 knives in the house, in the hallway.
Any surveillance video?
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We do know that one of the homeowner did have one of them as he came out. We don't know if he went in with that or if he just retrieved it from the suspect. We don't know that yet.
How many times was the suspect shot?
Multiple times. I don't know yet.
Any video, ring door camera, surveillance, any of that?
There's a lot of video in the neighborhood. Obviously, we'll be continuing to canvass the neighborhood for all of our evidence. So yes, we believe that there's going to be some video available of his movements down the street and possibly in other parts of the neighborhood. But again, it's preliminary. Apparently, if it is the same person that was first seen off of Bissonnette, then he was in several places as he made his way here. There may be additional video, more evidence. And again, we ask the public, if they know something, please reach out.
Can we get an address on that Bissonnette?
It was around the 7,000 block. 7,003 Bissonnette is where the initial call came. Five.
Five?
Five. A lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 2 officers.
You had some pretty high-ranking people out here. Were they just in the area at the time?
Yes. So, no, they responded as the call went out as a high priority call. Everybody was coming that was available to pull off and get here.
Was there any ID on the suspect?
Not yet. The medical examiner will determine that and identify at some point, and we'll get a name. But for now, we do not know his identity.
Was anything said? Did the homeowner say he said something? Any words exchanged?
Right. So as earlier as I said, he was apparently screaming that he was being chased, that someone was after him, something of that nature. Somebody was trying to kill him. We're still going through all the call slips. We're still going through all the information, but it's all there. Just in time, we'll be able to have all of that to you and release all that. But for now, either he was in crisis or something else was going on with him. We don't know, but this is where he came to and forced his way in at.
Check his name and he has any priors or anything?
We don't know who he is yet.
And do you have a time on that incident, roughly?
So it happened I think maybe the original call was like 11 a.m. When somebody was calling and saying they saw a suspicious male out on Bissonnette.
Okay.
So.
And then this was almost 11:30 here.
Right. This is it's 11:26 is when this resident called.
The neighbor who came over to help, was that the original neighbor whose door he was banging on?
No,
first?
it was the on the other side.
And they just heard the commotion and came over?
I don't know how he was alerted to what was going on in his neighbor's house. I presume, all of them appeared to be close to the same age, or at least by initial appearance. Maybe they are all friends. They, neighbors knowing neighbors, and of course was alerted to what was going on and came over to help.
I just want to get some reaction from you. Obviously, a very tense moment, and then I also heard from neighbors that there were gunshots the other day. This is an area you guys have been responding to on watch. How do you just react to this incident?
So we have challenges. There's no secret that the city and the nation are experiencing some additional violence, and of course it's always heartbreaking when any of this ever happens. Obviously we would rather everybody respect everybody else and live in that manner, but that's just not the case. And there are a lot of things going on behind that. So, it's always a serious. We always, try to respond, take care of everybody, do all we can. But we rely so heavily on you all as the community, as the media, to work with us, to help us out, to report when there's something going on so that we can get ahead of it. And then, of course, to message as much as possible about safety, being careful, everybody watching out for everybody. Yes.
Are you interviewing the neighbor who came with this?
Oh, yeah, we'll interview them all. Mm-hmm.
Is going to be any detention for him or anything like that?
For the neighbor that came over to help, the investigation is still preliminary, but I don't see that right now in this investigation. The individual that forced his way into this house and was attacking the occupants, this neighbor showed up just to help them.
This is a little bit of like a Monday morning quarterback, but Houston's not really a city where you leave your door unlocked. It shouldn't be a city where you leave your door unlocked.
We wish it was a city that you left your door unlocked, and in some places maybe so, but again, caution is always the case, and I can't guarantee you that they did not have their door unlocked, but somehow or another he made his way into their residence. So maybe, again, somebody knocks, maybe your first impulse is somebody's in trouble trying to help, and then it turns in a different direction. I don't know yet, but he did make his way in, they did call for help, and they were screaming for help as our officers arrived. Any other questions?
Could you just spell your last name, Chief, one more time?
Satterwhite.